I'm Jim the Man, and with my cup of coffee, seeing how the big video I'm trying to make is taking too long, more than likely be out this summer, I'm deciding to read Also Because I Like Money, and seeing how my last video talking about a dumb creepypasta did well, I'm going to read the original Sonic.exe. Yeah, I'm totally a Sonic the Hedgehog fan. Much like everyone else, I like the newer games, but I don't mind playing the classics. I don't think I've ever played glitchy or hacked games before, though I don't think I want to play any after the experience I had. It started on a nice summer afternoon. I was playing Sonic Unleashed. I like how you get to explore the towns until I noticed, out of my peripheral vision, that the mailman had arrived and put something in my mailbox, as usual, and left. I paused my game to go see what I got in the mail. The only thing in the mailbox was a CD
Hey,
for computers and a note. I took it inside. I looked at the note first and realized it from my dear friend Kyle. Let's call him that. Who I hadn't heard from in 2 weeks. I know that because I recognized his handwriting. Though, what was weird is how it looked. It looked badly written and scratchy and somewhat difficult to read, like the story, as if Kyle was having a hard time writing it down, did it in a hurry. This is what he wrote.
Tom, I can't take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow before it was too late. And I was hoping you'd do it for me. I can't do it. He's after me. If you don't destroy the CD, he'll come after you too. He's too fast for me. Please, Tom. Destroy this godforsaken disc before he comes after you too. It's too late for me. Destroy the disc, and you'll destroy him. But do it quick, otherwise he'll catch you. Don't even play the game, it's what he wants. Just destroy it. Please. Kyle.
Well, that was certainly weird, even though Kyle is my best friend, and I haven't seen him in 2 weeks. I didn't do what he asked me. Good friend, everybody. I didn't think that a simple game disc would do anything bad to him. After all, it's just a game, right? Boy, was I wrong. I looked at the disc. Anyway, I took the disc, and it looked like any other ordinary computer CD-R disc, except it had a black marker on it written Sonic.exe, and it looked, and it was much unlike Kyle's handwriting, meaning that he must have gotten it from someone else. Like a pawn shop or eBay.
when I saw Sonic on the writing of the CD,
I was actually excited and wanted to play it since I'm a big Sonic fan. I went up to my room and turned on my computer and put the disc in and installed the game. When the title screen popped up, I noticed that it was the first Sonic game. And I was like, awesome. Because, like I said earlier, I like the classics. The first thing I noticed that was out of place was when I pressed start. There was a split second when I saw the title image turn into something much different. Something that I now consider horrifying. Before cutting to black, I remember what the image looked like in that split second before the game cut to black. The sky had darkened. The title emblem was rusted and ruined. That Sega 1991 was instead Sega 666. And the water had turned red like blood, except it looked hyper realistic. But that's the freakiest thing. That was in the split second. Frame was Sonic. His eyes were pitch black and bleeding, with two glowing red dots staring right at me. And his smile had stretched wider, wide open, to the edge of his face. I was rather disturbed about the image when I saw it, though. I figured that it was just glitch and forgot about it. After it cut after it cut to black, it stayed like that for about 10 seconds or so. And then another weird thing happened. To save the save files select from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 popped up, and I was like, WTF? What's this doing in the first Sonic game? Anyway, then I noticed something off. In the background was this dark, cloudy sky of that bad, the bad Stardust Speedway level from Sonic CD. And there were only 3 save files. The music was that creepy carnival or winter music from Earthbound. Only it was extended and seemed,
To have been in reverse.
and the image for the save files were where you see a preview of the level you're on. It was just red static for all 3 files. What freaked me out more was the characters select. It only showed Tails, Knuckles, and to my surprise, Dr. Robotnik. Now, I was sure that something was up. I mean, how could you play as Robotnik in a classic Sonic game? For crying out loud. That's when I realized that this wasn't a glitchy game, it was a hacked game. Yeah, it definitely looked hacked. It was real creepy. But as a smart gamer, I wasn't scared. Or at least tried. I tried not to be. I told myself that that it was just a hacked game. And there was nothing wrong about that. Anyways, shaking off that creeped out feeling, I picked the first file and chose Tails. And when I selected and got started, and when I selected and I got, pray for me, y'all. I have bad dyslexia. For, and when I selected and got started, the game was frozen for about 5 seconds, and I heard a creepy, pixelated laughing that sounded an awful lot like the coffin. The black. There's this in the story. Okay. The screen stayed black for about 10 seconds or more. Then it started to the typical title title thing, ex- expanding the simplified shapes were different shadings of red, and the text showed only Hill Act 1. Ooh, the screen faded in, and the level title vanished, revealing Tails in the Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1. The music was different, though. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. Anyway, I started playing, and I had Tails start running like he would in any other classic Sonic game. What was odd was that Tails was running along the level, like there was nothing but flat ground. and a few trees for 5 minutes. That's hell. That's when the peaceful music started to lower down into a slow, deep,
Into slow, deep tones.
very slowly as I kept going. I suddenly saw something, and I stopped to see what it was. It was one of those small animals laying dead on the ground, bleeding. Tails had a shocked and saddened look on his face that I had never seen him have before. So I had him move along, and he kept that worried look on his face. As he kept moving, I saw more dead animals as Tails moved past them, looking more and more worried as the music lowers and he moved past more dead animals. I was shocked to see how they all died. They looked like somebody killed them in rather gruesome ways. Look, I'm tired, sorry. After a few more seconds, there was no more animals, and the music seemed to have stopped. I still kept Tails to continue. After a minute passed, after the music stopped, Tails was running up a hill, and then he stopped. It was until I saw why. Sonic was on the other side of the screen with his back against Tails, with his eyes closed. Tails looked happy to see Sonic, but then his smile faded, obviously noticing that Sonic wasn't responding to him.
If not acting as if he was totally oblivious of Tails.
Presence. Tails walked slowly toward Sonic, and I noticed that I wasn't even moving my keyboard to make him move. So this had to have been a cutscene.
Well, this is new. Showing remorse, Eggman? If you played nice.
Suddenly, I began to have a growing feeling of dread as Tails walked closer to Sonic to get his attention. I felt that Tails was in danger and something bad was going to happen. I heard faint static growing louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic and stopped and stuck his hand out to touch him. That foreboding feeling in my gut was growing stronger, and I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away from Sonic as the static grew louder. Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open, and they were black with those red glowing dots. And just like that, it did a title image. Though, there wasn't a smile. When that happened, the screen turned black, and the static sound was off. I stared for it stayed black for about 7 seconds. And then writing text appeared, forming a message saying,
Hello, do you want to play with me?
At this point, I was creeped out, and I didn't want to continue with the game. But my curiosity got the better of me when I was taken to a different level. With the level title now saying, Hide and Seek. This time, it was in the Angel Island level from Sonic 3, and it looked like everything was on fire. Tails looked as if he was scared.
Wits this time.
He
Actually.
looked at me and made me
Frantic.
gestures to me as if he wanted to get out of the area. He was in as fast as possible. I was starting to get freaked out by this. I mean, Tails was actually breaking the fourth wall, trying to tell me to get him out of there. So I pressed down on the arrow key as hard as I could, and made him run as fast as he could. A pixelated version of that creepy scene when you met Shadow at the Ark as Robotnik from SA2 was playing. As I made Tails peek through the distant I made Tails peek through the
Desolate.
forest, trying to help him escape whatever he was trying to run from. Suddenly, I heard that creepy laugh again. Right after 10 seconds having passed, as I helped Tails run through the forest, and then I started seeing flashes of Sonic hopping everywhere on the screen. The music changed to that
Suspenseful.
growing jingle as I see Sonic behind Tails, slowly gaining up on him. Flying? Sonic wasn't running, as he was actually flying, and he had the black and red eyes again, only this time he had the most, okay, wait, I gotta fucking, this time he had the most deranged looking grin on his face. He looked as though he was enjoying the torture he was giving to the poor little fox as he gained up on him. Okay. Suddenly, when Tails tripped, the music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails laid there and started crying for 15 seconds. The screen was rather upsetting to watch, and I kind of teared up myself. But then Sonic appeared right in front of Tails, and Tails looked up in horror. Blood started to come down those blackened eyes of Sonic as a grin slowly formed his face as he looked down at the horrified fox. I could do nothing but watch. Just in a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails. Right before the screen went black, there was a loud screeching noise that only lasted 5 seconds, and the text returned. Only this time it said,
You're too slow. Want to try again?
I was so shocked by what happened. Did Sonic murder Tails? No, it couldn't have. He and Tails are supposed to be best friends, right? Why did Sonic do that to him? He killed Tails. I shook the shock off as I was brought back to the character select. The save files that had Tails was different. Tails was no longer in the box itself, but in the TV screen itself, which was flickering with that red static. Trying to ignore it, I picked Knuckles next. The last hit again, and the screen cut to black.
Oh no!
And stayed there for another 10 seconds. This time, the level said,
You can't run.
I was really freaking out. By now, I couldn't really tell if this was a glitch or a hack or some kind of stick, twisted joke, or anything really. But, okay, wait. But despite my fears of what happened next, I kept playing. The next level looked much different. It had that ground of the Scrap Brain Zone, but the sky background looked like the main menu. It had a dark reddish, cloudy sky, as I noticed that Knuckles looked awful, afraid, just like Tails did. Though not as much, more rather, he looked like an
Unnerved.
He broke the fourth walls, just like Tails, and looked as if he wasn't sure about going on. but I made him move anyway. He ran down the straightening pathway in this dark level, and as he did, the screen started to flicker the red static a couple of times. Then that maddening laugh came again. Then after a few seconds of running, I noticed several blood stains on the metallic ground. I felt a growing sense of fear again, thinking something horrible was going to happen to Knuckles. He looked
Nauseated.
walking down this blood-stained road, but I still kept him going. Suddenly, as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him, with his black and red eyes, and then red static appeared again, vanished, showing nothing but black screens and the text saying,
Found you!
I was now scared. Sonic found Knuckles already? What was going on? Anyways, red static came again, and then I was back to the level. Knuckles looked like he was panicking, and Sonic was nowhere to be found. What was this, some kind of boss battle with Sonic? I hope to God it wasn't.
Honestly.
Suddenly Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles, in what appeared to be a pixelated black smoke. I made Knuckles turn and then punch Sonic, but Sonic vanished into black pixel smoke before I could even land a hit. That terrible laugh went off again. Then Sonic appeared behind Knuckles again, and then I made him punch again, and Sonic vanished again, laughing. Knuckles was panicking even more, and even I felt like I was going crazy. Sonic was practically playing with us. He was playing a sick, twisted little mind game with me and Knuckles. Another cutscene played as Knuckles fell to his knees and,
Clutched.
his head sobbing. I felt his agony. Sonic was attempting at driving us both crazy. And then, in a split second, Sonic lunged at Knuckles, and the screen went black with another distorted screeching noise that lasted for at least 3 seconds. Another text message appeared.
So many souls to play with. So little time. Wouldn't you agree?
What the hell? Just what was going on? I started to think Sonic was actually trying to talk to me through the game, but I was too scared to think that. Oh, my nose is bleeding. Whatever. I was brought back to the main menu, and this time, the second file box had Knuckles and the TV screen. His red fur darkened to a reddish gray. His dreadlocks were dripping with blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding too. And he had a look of sadness on his face. I began to think that those are actually characters trapped in those TV screens on the save files, but I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. So I shut off the game and took a break. I took a nap. I wish I hadn't, because I then began to have the most disturbing nightmare. I was in a pitch black darkness, though I was under the light given off by a lamp hung high above my head. I could hear cries of Knuckles and Tails nearby. They were saying stuff like,
Help us.
Why did you give us to him?
Run away before he gets you too.
their cries died out as I then heard Sonic laugh.
You're a lot of fun to play with, kid. Just like your friend Kyle. Though, he didn't last long.
I was scared and looking around for the sound of his voice.
Won't be long now until you can join him and all my other friends.
I saw him walking towards me, flickering in and out, several directions.
You can't run, kid. You're in my world now, just like the others.
When he grabbed me, I saw his bleeding black and red eyes, growing, grinning face. I woke up with a fright. After a couple of hours, I decided to continue to play the game. I didn't know why, but I had to know. I had to figure out why this was happening. So I turned on the computer, turned on the game, and selected Robotnik next. I still thought that was wacky playing as Robotnik, but anyway, the level title appeared again, and this time it said, which I found really freaky. This time, I was in some kind of hallway. I didn't really look like it was from any of the classic Sonic games, though it had the pixelet style. The floor was shiny and
Checkered.
the walls were a dark grayish purple with illuminated candles and a few dark bloodstains here and there. And there was a dark red curtain hanging above on the top part of the screen. Every 12 or so, that red curtain would sway very slowly, and where you were playing, but whenever you were playing the game, you can barely see it move. The music was oddly
Pleasant.
piano playing a rhythm, sad yet perfect. But I knew better. Yeah, my nose is still bleeding. But I knew better. This was the song that played in Hills Act 1. Only it wasn't in reverse. Robotnik didn't look entirely nervous like Tails and Knuckles did, but he did have a
Suspicious.
look on his face, as if he was just a bit paranoid. He didn't he did a little animation when just left him standing. He turned his head to the left and then to the right, at least twice, and then shrugged at me, as if he has no idea where he was or what was going on, even though I was scared out of my mind about what was going to happen. I had Robotnik continue onward. He did his usual running animation as we continued going through the hallway. Then I stopped at a long, frightening flight of stairs leading downward. Now I was more nervous. Even Robotnik seemed unsure of himself, though I though I pressed onward. As I led Robotnik down the stairs,
What the? Hold on, wait, no, no, no.
I tried to go back with Robotnik, and this is so ass. As I led Robotnik down the stairs, I tried to go back with Robotnik, but he was just always falling on the stairs. I noticed the walls had grown darker and more reddish. The red torches are now an eerie blue. And then we landed out onto another hallway. This one was longer than the last one. and then we hur- hurried down another flight of stairs.
What the? Hold on, wait, no.
And then I heard that, and that the music slowly faded until it was quiet. As it did, the walls turned more dark red, and the torches were a blue flame now. When Robotnik landed onto the third hallway, I noticed he looked really creeped out, though he tried to hide it. I couldn't blame him. I was scared too. Suddenly, Sonic popped up right in front of Robotnik, the same way he did Knuckles.
What the fuck?
And then that red static. The red static lasted for about 15 seconds, and then it showed me a most unpleasing image. The image the image showed a hyper realistic of Sonic standing in the darkness, where you can see only his face, while his head and torso faded into the blackness. Say hyper realistic. I mean, like, he looked so real, you could actually see the lines of his blue fur, as if you could actually feel the fur if you touched the screen. His face, oh god, he had the most horrifying smile I've ever seen. And that's saying something constant. Saw that image at the start of the game. His eyes are wide and black, and once again, crying blood. And there were two small glowing red dots in those black eyes staring right at me, as if staring into my mind. His grin was wide and demonic.
Literally stretched.
On the side of his face, like a
Cheshire
cat expression. Sonic had fangs, very sharp fangs, much like the warehouse teeth, except more vicious looking. I stared at the grotesque image for a good 30 seconds, never taking my eyes off it. I felt as if he was actually looking at me, smiling at me, that face in my brain for good. But then that screen flickered with red static again 3 times. And on the third time, I heard the Kefla laugh. It went back to the image again, except this time, there was text. It went back to the image again, except this time, there was the text.
I am God.
Split second, I screamed as Sonic lunged at the screen, screeching loudly with his mouth wide open, to unnatural lengths, revealing nothing but a literal spiral absolute of pure darkness. Before the red static came again, this time much louder and distorted. So loud that it hurt my ears. I yelled and grabbed my ears as the red static for a good 7 seconds. Then it stopped and showed me nothing but a black screen. As I sat there, staring at the black screen, one last text came up.
Ready for round 2, Tom?
Now sounding more clear, as if Sonic was right behind me. Booted back to the main menu, and this time the third save file had a TV image of Robotnik in the same tortured state as Tails and Knuckles. Robotnik's skin turned a dull gray, his mustache dropped, and he had blackness.
His glasses broke and blood is coming from them, and he had a mere dead-like expression on his face.
I looked at Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik, and I cried a bit. The computer shut itself off. I couldn't turn it back on, no matter what I did. I sat there for maybe 25 seconds, horrified by what just happened. Sonic is the very embodiment of evil. He tortured people who played his game in more ways than one. And then, when he was getting bored, he dragged you into the game, literally dragging you to hell, where he could play with you as his toy. I can't get that game out of my computer. I think it's stuck in there, but at least I managed to turn it back on now. After I sat there for 25 seconds, I heard a voice right behind me, like a whisper.
Try to keep this interesting for me, Tom.
I turned around to see where the voice came from, and what I saw made me scream. Sitting on my bed, staring right at me, was a Sonic plushie, smiling with blood stains under his eyes.
Roll the windows up.
What's wrong?
Roll the windows up. Hurry.
What? What are you talking
It's
about?
fucking Xanthus.
Xanthus?
He's broke. He's homeless. He's fucking asking us for money.
Oh no.